Assalamualaikum and good afternoon to all present today. First and foremost, I wish to extend my deepest gratitude to all distinguished guests and esteemed delegates who are virtually present today. Yang berbahagia, Puan Faridah binti Yang Nazali, Director of the Fully Residential School Management Division, Ministry of Education Malaysia. Yang berbahagia, Professor Tan Sri Dr. Jamila binti Mahmud, Executive Director at Sunway Center for Planetary Health Malaysia. Puan Nur Shamnuddin, the excellent principal of Sekolah Seri Puteri Cyberjaya, as the host of this year's event. Principals of all fully residential schools and the Royal Military College, principals of all participating schools in Indonesia, Vietnam, Thailand, the Philippines, India, and Turkey, officers from the Fully Residential Schools Management Division, local and international teachers and students, Sekolah Seri Puteri alumni, Puteri, Sekolah Seri Puteri Parent Teacher Association, and fellow audience. Welcome to the opening ceremony of the 9th Online Fully Residential Schools International Symposium 2021. On behalf of this year's host, Sekolah Seri Puteri, I would like to extend a very warm welcome to all of you. Praise to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala that we have been graced by a chance to gather on this auspicious occasion, and we appreciate you taking some time off your busy schedule to join us today.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will start the program with the singing of the national anthem and prayer recitation by Ms. Muhammad Aklam bin Azizul from College Islam Sultan Alam Shah.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Al-Fatihah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin wa rabbil arshil azim. Al-Malikil Quddusis Salamil Mu'min. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidina Muhammadinil Amin. Al-Mab'uthi rahmatan lil alamin. Allahumma ya Rahman ya Rahim. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, most merciful. May the peace and mercy of Allah be upon His Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his families, companions, and followers. Forgive us for what we have done in the past and what we will do in the future. Allahumma ya da'imal ihsan. You are all knowing that we are gathered here today virtually in the 9th Online Fully Residential Schools International Symposium for the year 2021 to gain your vast knowledge, to develop our potential as high-achieving leaders towards enhancing the quality of our young leaders. Ya Allah, we seek your assistance and humbly ask your guidance blessed our gatherings. Let our efforts succeed well and make us fulfill our determination. Let our heart be filled with light and insight. We ask you for beneficial knowledge and good deeds and a strong memory, in the hope that we can easily accept, appreciate, and practice them. Allahumma ya dhal judi wal karam. Provide us good health, mental fitness, peace of mind, and the strength of spirit to enable us to meet challenges, be competitive, and able to elevate our dignity, our family, society, educational organization, and our country. اللهم اغفر لنا ذنوبنا ولإخواننا الذين سبقونا بالإيمان ولا تجعل في قلوبنا غلا للذين آمنوا ربنا إنك رؤوف رحيم ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين تقبل الله منا ومنكم.
Amin, Amin, Ya Rabbal Alameen. Thank you so much, Mr. Muhammad Aklan, for the prayer recitation. Without further ado, let's watch a montage of the symposium specially prepared for all of you.
Malaysia mencatatkan kes novel coronavirus pertama membabitkan lelaki tempatan jangkitan COVID-19.
Indonesians in Indonesia have tested positive for COVID-19.
Is bracing for a worsening COVID-19 outbreak.
Caseload continues to rise at a record.
City have entered a 2-week
He has
lockdown
entered its first full
virus
lockdown.
has spread across the
and have
Philippines.
exceeded 20,000 for the first time.
We would like to wish
a very best of luck to all participants
of the 9 online
Fully Residential Schools
International Symposium 2021.
We know that
all of you went through a lot
during the preparation
of this online event.
but we believe that you
will do a great job.
so be confident and good luck.
Happy conferencing to all.
Best of luck to all.
To all participants, break a leg.
We are rooting for you.
To all participants, good luck with the conference.
Such an interesting video, isn't it? Well, our school, Sekolah Seri Puteri, is so honored to be given the opportunity to host this year's Fully Residential Schools International Symposium. And for your information, since its inception, this is the first time it is held online due to the current pandemic outbreak. It's a whole new experience for all of us. Ladies and gentlemen, moving on, I would like to invite Ms. Norsham Nordin, the excellent principal of Sekolah Seri Puteri, to say a few words. Please welcome.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Puan Faridah binti Razali, Director of the Fully Residential Schools Management Division, Ministry of Education Malaysia, Professor Tan Sri Dr. Jamila binti Mahmud, Executive Director at Sunway Centre for Planetary Health Malaysia, Principals of all Fully Residential Schools and Royal Military College RMC, Principals of all participating schools in Indonesia, Vietnam, Thailand, the Philippines, India and Turkey, officers from the Fully Residential Schools Management Division, local and international teachers and students, Sekolah Seri Puteri Alumni Puteri, Sekolah Seri Puteri Parent Teacher Association and fellow audience. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh and a very good day I bid to all. Esteemed delegates and distinguished guests present, on behalf of the school hosting this first ever virtual Fully Residential Schools International Symposium 2021, allow me to welcome each and every one of you to this virtual event held live today. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for all making time to be with us on this auspicious occasion. This year, we are indeed honored to have with us Puan Faridah binti Yang Razali, Director of the Fully Residential Schools Management Division, and Professor Tan Sri Dr. Jamila binti Mahmud as our keynote speaker in line with the theme chosen, COVID-19 Pandemic Gains and Losses. I would also like to bid a warm welcome, in particular to all participants from the Fully Residential Schools, Royal Military College RMC, and not forgetting the international participants from 6 countries, namely Indonesia, the Philippines, India, Thailand, Vietnam, and Turkey. Thank you for your presence and involvement. My heartiest congratulations on your wonderful commitment and determination in preparing for this symposium. Ladies and gentlemen, COVID-19 has definitely become a global phenomenon, and living with it has become a new norm for all walks of life. Not only has it left scars on many people, but it has also severely impacted the world in ways more than we can imagine. It is no longer a pandemic that is invading the world, but rather an endemic that will stay on and one that we have to live with. Therefore, no doubt, the future of our young generation is and will also be at stake due to this situation. In the context of education, the Movement Control Order MCO restrictions in the early year of 2020 had certainly caused a nationwide shutdown of many education sectors and programs. It has been almost 2 years and we have not grown to adapt and embrace these changes, making the best out of this tragic event and at the same time seeing opportunities of creating better innovations for the sake of the stakeholder, the students. This brings us to this first ever online Fully Residential Schools International Symposium, Frsis. For your information, This is not our first time hosting this prestigious event, as we had been entrusted with this event back in 2013. Nonetheless, it is almost a whole new experience for us as a host due to a shift from the face-to-face mode to an online platform. This year's theme, COVID-19 pandemic gains and losses, is very much significant to the current situation we are forced to face. We have come to a point where the world is challenged like never before. Nevertheless, it brings out so many positive characters and united efforts from many countries in order to save and rebuild what is left. This is what Sustainable Development Goals or SDG is all about, providing us a comprehensive and universal toolkit. It also brings everyone together in unity and peace to seek a solution for a better and safer planet, community, and future. Hence, in this symposium, we bring in 6 sub-themes under the different SDGs, namely education, economy, technology, healthcare, environment, and social issues. Ladies and gentlemen, this symposium is eminently an intellectual investment in nurturing effective, knowledgeable world leaders. Through this symposium, the students learn about teamwork and leadership, work hard to put their ideas together, harnessing their communicative and research skills, as well as higher order thinking skills. Not only can they talk about themselves or common issues, but also be bold enough to address nationwide and global concerns, thus becoming invaluable human capitals in the future. It is believed that by organizing this discourse at an international level, especially during the dialogue to determine the symposium resolution, the participants will be able to observe and discover others' point of views, exchange stories from different countries, cultures, and norms, as well as engage in an intellectual discussion on global issues related to the theme. This online platform has made it all possible for these 7 countries to meet and sit, listen to each and everyone's insights, and I believe this has been an enriching experience for the participants. We really hope all of you will be able to treasure this wonderful experience and build a greater understanding, not just of yours, but also of others' challenges, struggles, and strengths. Without a doubt, togetherness is the key action in surviving this pandemic and mobilizing the goals of SDG. All of us are interconnected, hence, let us now listen to the young voices from the 7 countries, addressing the relevant issues, ideas, and perspective as regards the COVID-19 pandemic in the next 2 days of the symposium. Ladies and gentlemen, before I end my speech, allow me to extend my deepest gratitude and congratulations to the organizing committee who have given their full commitment to make this event smooth and successful. This feat also definitely couldn't be accomplished without the strong support from the Fully Residential Schools Management Division, our Parent Teacher Association PTA, and also Puteri, the alumni of Sekolah Seri Puteri. This symposium will not be a reality without the involvement of the participating teams. Thus, I would like to applaud and express my heartfelt appreciation to all teachers and students, local and international, who have put in much effort in their research journey and shown a great spirit of camaraderie and exceptional teamwork throughout the preparation and excursion of this event. Thank you once again. Last but not least, I would like to thank our guests of honor, Puan Farida binti Yang Razali and Tan Sri Dr. Jamila binti Mahmud for gracing our event today. All the best to all the 91 teams competing in this symposium. As we are still at the advent of the pandemic, all I can say is move forward with hopes and convictions. We cannot deny the fact that in every unfortunate circumstance, there is also a good side hidden for us to turn it around. As the saying goes, not all storms come to disrupt our life. Some are just present to clear our path. Stay safe and take care of yourselves. With that final note, I thank you.
Thank you to our excellent principal, Ms. Nur Shamruddin, for her welcoming speech.
Well, Iman, do you know the meaning of Frsis?
No, Amar. How about you?
Oh, I do. Let me tell you a little bit about it. The Fully Residential Schools International Symposium is a program organized by the Fully Residential Schools Management Division, Ministry of Education Malaysia, in collaboration with the National Commission for UNESCO Malaysia. The program is in line with the vision of the Ministry of Education Malaysia, which is to produce world-class leaders who are knowledgeable in the research process and procedures and are able to compete with their counterparts across the globe. In this year's event, a total of 350 local participants and 105 international participants from 7 countries have taken part to take home prestigious awards.
Such interesting information. Thank you, Amar. Well, ladies and gentlemen, to continue on, let's listen to our guest of honor. Please welcome Yang Berbahagia Puan Faridah binti Yang Razali, the Director of the Fully Residential Schools Management Division, Ministry of Education Malaysia, to say a few words. Please welcome.
Assalamualaikum. Peace be upon you and good day to all. First, I would like to extend my deepest gratitude to our esteemed audience, especially the student participants from both local and international schools, as well as all guests present here today. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm very privileged to be given the honor to address everyone in this opening remark. The enforcement of Movement Control Order, or MCO, along with the school closure have led to many consequences. The sudden and unforeseen misfortune has impacted the psychological, economic, physical, and social well-being of so many walks of life, including those involved in the education sector. Statistical information from UNESCO, UNICEF, and OECD documents have indicated that in studies around 195 countries, students from 188 countries have been adversely affected by this COVID-19 pandemic. This constitutes to about 91% of the total global students' population. The few countries that are not so affected are actually small island states with a very small population. Throughout the time COVID-19 hit us and MCO has been enforced, many people in almost every corner of the globe have gone through sad periods of anxiety, loneliness, boredom, uncertainty, and a host of other difficulties. Everyone must have been affected psychologically, physically, emotionally, and mentally. Only the degree of impact varies from one to another. These are the heart-killing facts that are heartbreaking but of great concern. Nevertheless, the human spirit within us is a remarkable trait. This pandemic episode has really tested and taught us about resilience, perseverance, togetherness, emotional support, health awareness, and financial contingency plan. Being strong individuals, we rise, we battle, and we get on with our lives. The same goes to our education sector. When the sudden shift to online learning first took place, many were worried and anxious. Educators had to transform themselves overnight and roll up their sleeves in order to adapt to a new norm of the digitalization approach. It was an experiential learning journey to some and a calamity to others. But despite everything, we strive on. Thankfully, it is a blessing in disguise that most schools in Malaysia have formally practiced blended learning pedagogies, which sort of ease the transition. It is also a blessing that all schools under the Ministry of Education Malaysia have been equipped with the Google Classroom suite and a number of interactive educational applications such as Canva in Education, Padlet, Flipgrid, Kahoot, GoodNote, and live worksheets. To transform the traditional learning experience into a whole new online engagement experience, which is more meaningful and interesting. Besides the change from traditional to online classes, live streamings of curricula and co-curricular activities have also been practiced. Club meetings, sports, online trainings, and even an international symposium have become a new norm around the world. Hence, it is not really strange that this year's fully residential schools international symposium, the ninth edition, is conducted online. It is important for teachers and students to brace these changes with an open heart, as it will be quite some time before this pandemic becomes endemic and in turn become less dangerous over time. I believe that the Ministry of Education of other countries have also devised similar effective strategies to ensure the sustainability of the teaching and learning quality. Access to reliable and meaningful information, transparent accountabilities, and appropriate learning environments and infrastructure despite the advent of the pandemic. Even with the new norm challenges, we see the importance of this symposium as a learning ground for our students. Hence, today we are proud to be able to once again organize this symposium virtually, despite the geographical distance and other limitations. Being in its ninth year of organization, the Fully Residential Schools International Symposium, or also known as Frsis, aims to create world-class leaders. Previously, interactions of students from various countries have enabled them to share ideas and think globally whilst applying the knowledge gained. It is hoped that the symposium will bring about positive impacts in honing leadership qualities among students to organize as well as be directly involved across borders, across cultures, but in one platform. Over the years, the organization of this symposium has seen an assembly of more than 10 countries, such as Indonesia, Singapore, Thailand, Japan, the Philippines, Vietnam, South Korea, Iran, India, and Czech Republic, and many more. It has definitely given a significant impact in nurturing towering personalities among the participating students in molding them to become leaders with a global perspective. Ladies and gentlemen, now with the presence of COVID-19 vaccines, we are almost reaching the post-COVID-19 phase. Nonetheless, the next question is, how does COVID-19 provide future prospects for us in our education system? Some of the answers may be discovered here under the symposium theme of COVID-19 pandemic, gains and losses, to be delivered by our future world global leaders. Let us all participate and contribute positively to gain a profound experience from this virtual gathering of great minds. It is also the hope of the Fully Residential Schools Management Division, Ministry of Education Malaysia, that this symposium will continue to exist in many more years to come. Last but not least, my heartiest congratulations to the host school, Sekolah Seri Puteri Cyberjaya, for making this event a reality. With that, I declare open the 9th Fully Residential Schools International Symposium. May this inaugural virtual symposium, among a few, give rise to ideas that will impact so many in the years to come. Thank you. Enjoy the symposium.
Thank you, Yang Berbahagia, Ms. Farida, for the speech.
The wait time has arrived. We are so privileged to have the presence of our keynote speaker today, none other than the famed Honorable Professor Tan Sri Dr. Jamilah Mahmud. Tan Sri Dr. Jamilah is a medical professional with more than 2 decades of experience managing crises in health, disasters, and conflict settings. She is currently Executive Director of the newly established Sunway Center for Planetary Health in Malaysia. She was the Special Advisor to the Prime Minister of Malaysia on Public Health from April 2020 to August 2021. She is also a member of the Government of Malaysia's Economic Action Council and Climate Action Council.
Her previous appointments include the Under-Secretary General for Partnerships at the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies, IFRC, Chief of the World Humanitarian Summit Secretariat at the United Nations, and Chief of the Humanitarian Response Branch at UNFPA. She is the founder of Mercy Malaysia, a southern-based international humanitarian organization.
That's right, Iman. Tan Sri Dr. Jamila has held many board positions in NGOs and INGOs and is the recipient of numerous national and international awards for her work. In 2020, she was appointed a senior fellow of the Adrian Ash Rockefeller Foundation Resilience Center. She is currently on the board of the Employees Provident Fund of Malaysia and Alam Foundation.
Tan Sri Dr. Jamila graduated as a Doctor of Medicine, MD, has a Master's in Obstetrics and Gynecology from the same university, and is a Fellow of the Royal College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists, United Kingdom. She also completed executive education at the International Management and Development Center, IMD Lausanne. With such a long list of accomplishments, we are so privileged to have Tan Sri grace our event today. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we are pleased to welcome our distinguished keynote speaker, the Honorable Professor Tan Sri Dr. Jamila Mahmud, to deliver her speech. Please welcome.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Greetings everyone. Salam sejahtera. I'm very honored to be invited here to speak to all of you. And I would first of all, offer some salutations to the wonderful people who have made it possible. Yang berbahagia Puan Faridah binti Yang Razali, the Director of the Fully Residential Schools Management Division of the Ministry of Education Malaysia, Puan Nur Syam binti Nordin, the excellent principal of Sekolah Seri Puteri Cyberjaya, and the host of the 9th online Frsis 2021, principals of all fully residential schools and the Royal Military College, principals of all participating schools in Indonesia, Vietnam, Thailand, the Philippines, India, and Turkey, and officers from the fully residential schools management division, local and international teachers and students, Puteri, Sekolah Seri Puteri parent, teacher associations, and fellow audience. And of course, I would be remiss not to mention my dear friend, Dr. Professor Harlina, Dr. Harlina Siraj, who was instrumental in convincing me that I need to be present in this very important meeting. When I approached Dr. Harlina and her team, I was asked to speak a little bit about the good, the bad, of COVID-19 and the pandemic, but allow me to maybe shift a little bit and speak about the challenges and the opportunities coming out, or rather while we are, trying to get through this pandemic that we're all facing globally. Undoubtedly, the pandemic has caused major disruption, but also has taken away the lives of many people we know and we love. So for the audience who have experienced loss during this pandemic, allow me to offer my condolences. And for all of us in solidarity, to think about, those who have lost lives, those who have fallen ill, and those who are continuing to struggle to recover from this terrible pandemic. And this is the reality. A pandemic of this nature, of such great spread and magnitude, has been something that we have all been grappling to deal with globally. And part of the problem, I feel, the challenges, is that the whole world didn't have a solidarity approach. We're seeing this now with vaccine inequity. We're seeing this in the fact that some information was hidden in the outset of the pandemic. And there are many ways we can actually improve the way we manage pandemics in the future. Another challenge is that many countries around the world were caught unprepared. And I say this with some, regret, because many of us who have been working in crisis have seen that the next pandemic was always a question of when and not if. We knew that after MERS, after SARS, after H1N1, and other respiratory-related viral infections and epidemics, the big pandemic was on its way. And typically, it does happen in 200-year cycles, and it was time. And yet many countries around the world did not really put into place some of these very important measures for us to work together, but also to be fully prepared. The other challenge, of course, is that, the pandemic happened to all countries, whether you were a high-income country or low-income country or middle-income country. And the disruption was also to not just health, but also the economy and also the social fabric of societies. We have seen many of the lower and middle income countries struggling, also the high income countries. But in Malaysia, for example, where a lot of our economy is driven by small, medium enterprises, these are the industries that have been badly hit. And this happens in all developing and middle income countries as well. The challenge as well is that we are dealing with a virus that is completely novel or new, that we don't even understand fully, and we're learning about day by day. So to say that there is one true expert or there is one country that's doing far superior than others, I think is a fallacy. All countries are still learning. All countries will continue to learn. And it is very clear that it's not going to go away. It will be here for a while. We will have to learn to live with the pandemic. And I think that one of the challenges was that a lot of health officials took a one approach to look at, how to end the pandemic, whereas, we know now that it's impossible to end it completely, at least in the short term. So other challenges include the fact that we have digital divides around the world. So whether it's for education or whether it's for contact tracing or whether it is for communication or vaccination programs, when there is a digital divide, when there are patches of citizens or global citizens who don't have access to technology or internet, you will see that there are differences in how we are able to manage and also roll out some of these vaccination programs. So I think without a doubt, we have entered the world of technology. We now digital technology, internet is a requirement, a basic fundamental right now for humans to thrive. And we need to work hard to make sure that this gap is met. I could talk about challenges all the time, but I think you see enough depressing news on social media and television and newspapers. I think let me switch to the opportunities. I often wake up in the morning and ask myself, how do we get here? And how do we come out stronger from this? Because the pandemic cannot be something that we survived. We need to bounce back. We need to thrive. If anything, the pandemic has taught me that we have not protected our planet well. This pandemic didn't happen out of the blue. It happened because we have violated a lot of our planetary boundaries. And the planetary boundaries are a set of 9 principles where you look from a range of things, from carbon dioxide in the environment, from phosphorus in the land, from the acidification of our oceans and other things. And without a doubt, man's idea of development is also very unsafe for our planet. The overdevelopment, the destruction of rainforests, pollution, the massive use of disposable single-use plastics, and our dietary habits, demanding much more red meat, has really caused very severe damage to the planet. As a result of the violation of these planetary health boundaries, animals and man have now come to be more proximal to each other. We've come closer. Man's desire to taste exotic meat has also caused what we call a zoonotic leak, where viruses that are normally in animals are able now to transmit to human beings. So it is man that has caused the pandemic. It's all of us. In our demand for development, our demand for certain dietary habits, our demand for what we think is progress has now set us back. So it's, for me, an opportunity to press that reset button. How do we want to live our lives moving forward? How can we become real caretakers of our planet so that, number one, we protect the environment and the planet for future generations, but for me as a health practitioner, to prevent future pandemics. The other thing we need to be aware of is that climate change, or the climate crisis, is also a result of our violation of planetary boundaries, and it's all interrelated. And therefore, we have a bigger crisis ahead with the climate crisis. One of the greatest opportunities and the greatest learning from this pandemic, as well as how important collaboration is. We've seen this with the vaccine production, how scientists from all over the world came together and developed vaccines that were effective against the COVID-19 SARS-CoV-2 virus, which shows us that if we put our differences aside and come together, building scientific evidence, building tools, building medication, building, vaccines, and creating opportunities for the whole world to benefit. This has been a great wake-up call, certainly for the scientific community around the world. So COVID-19 has become that event that has led to this great collaboration among scientists to compete for the greater good, to produce something that would actually help to protect and save lives. If anything, during the pandemic, we've also learned that we can slow down. We can work from home. We don't have to rush to the office. We don't have to take transport that's burning carbon at a fast rate and contributing to pollution. And we've learned, I think, to value things in life which are really important, like our family, like our friends, like our own personal mental welfare. Education has been very severely disrupted. And for all of you in residential schools, you probably feel this more than all of us. But amidst this pandemic, wonderful people among you as well have innovated and found ways for education to continually be delivered despite all the challenges. I know of organizations that have used what we call the Grab or Uber drivers to deliver homework to teachers, to be able to pick up, from students their worksheets. I know of groups that have deliberately worked with community leaders to ensure that children who don't have access to internet have also opportunities to continue learning. We've seen the dedication of teachers, of parents, and of students themselves to ensure that, they will not be left too far behind. And we see the urban-rural divide in this area. a real challenge, but we see the opportunity now that governments will want to address this digital divide in their policies. Perhaps if there wasn't a pandemic, this wouldn't have been so stark that you would have seen this major difference in this divide. But we have no excuse now. We have to work to ensure everyone will have access. And I think we've also seen in this pandemic how people rise, that humanity is well and alive when neighbors help neighbors, when communities help each other, when people are fundraising to make sure that others will have access to assistance, whether it's a food basket, whether it's to refill their mobile phone devices with data. So I think we've seen, in Malaysia, we call it, there was a Kita Jaga Kita movement set up by civil, by communities, by people, individuals, not government. And in Kita Jaga Kita means we look after ourselves, that we help each other. And I think this is so important in community building. We've seen in this pandemic how we need to care about each other. We are not safe until everyone is safe. And therefore, as for example, in Malaysia, that has an excellent vaccination rollout program, we can't be happy only with that. We need to ensure that people in Africa, people in Yemen, people in places that are less fortunate than us in gaining access to these vaccines have that access. Because we cannot recover as a global community. We cannot, stop the transmission of this virus unless everyone is safe. And we know for a fact that the vaccines work. So I'd like to think, on balance, that this has been a huge wake-up call for all of us. A moment to reflect, a moment to think about what our values are, a moment to think about what is important to our lives. But it's also a time for great innovation, a time for us, whether you're a student, whether you're a teacher, whether you're a government leader, whether you're a civil society leader, whether you're a private sector, on what it means for us moving forward, coming out of this pandemic, so that we do not face this problem again, and we do not, we must learn from this pandemic. We do not repeat the same mistakes that we have. And I think I would be remiss if I didn't mention the importance of protecting our mental health. And this is especially so for countries that have had prolonged periods of lockdowns or movement restrictions, where this has taken a serious mental toll on many people among all of us who have experienced this. So my dear friends listening to this, I have the utmost respect for educators, and I think that I urge all of you to please, as a community of educators, as a community of people who are really protecting education for our young people all over the world, start thinking about how you also educate children and young people about protecting this planet that we live on. You can start by telling them that the pandemic has been only a dress rehearsal for things to come, but not to despair. There are things all of us can do at our own individual and community level. So let me share my own personal commitment. I've made it a point to stop, or at least drastically reduce, any consumption of meat. I've made it a point to capture my carbon footprint on an app on my phone called Capture, so that I know how much carbon I'm emitting as a human being. And I know when I've exceeded my target for the month, and I offset that by planting trees or paying an organization to plant trees. I try to do most of my meetings virtually, as we are doing now. I'm conscious about what I put into my body, so I plant my own vegetables and organically. And I try to take, measures to educate people about why it's so important for us to protect our planet so that we protect our health. And currently, I'm really excited because I've been given this great opportunity to establish a Sunway Center for Planetary Health at Sunway University, where I will have the opportunity to influence young minds in the university that has decided to be the first university in the world to embrace planetary health in all its subjects and all its approaches in the university. And I think if we start at individual level, we start at an educational level to influence this change together, all of us will be able to put in our own contributions to protecting the planet, protecting our health, and preventing the next pandemic. So I wish all of you all the very best in this conference. I really want to thank again all the organizers and the invitation to speak to all of you. I really hope that we will all be safe and all come out of this safely, and the world will come back to what cannot be the old normal, but the next normal for all of us, which is a safer world, a safer planet, safer people, just and fair economies, protection of our natural resources, and most importantly, the values that are important. That is humanity, that is about peace, it's about compassion, and about being better versions of ourselves. So thank you very much for this opportunity. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Peace to all of you.
Thank you to the Honorable Professor Tan Sri Dr. Jamila Mahmud for the keynote address. It was indeed very refreshing and enlightening. The Honorable Tan Sri has raised a number of significant issues in relation to planetary health, which is rather new to me. Thank you very again, Tan Sri.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, as a saying goes, to every beginning, there's an ending. So with our event, it's been an honor for me to be among such accomplished individuals today. Thank you all for being here and taking the time to be with us today. Thank you again to our distinguished guests, Ms. Faridah Yang Razali and Tan Sri Dr. Jamila Mahmud for being here and gracing our event today. I, Amar Amin Faiz,
and Imanur Kamalia
are your hosts for today. Before we adjourn, do pardon us for any shortcomings during this event, and we will see you soon in the parallels. With this remark, let's close the opening ceremony of the 9th Online Fully Residential Schools International Symposium with Tasbih Kafarah and Suratul As. Subhanakallah wa bihamdika asyhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Wal 'asr innal insana lafi khusr illa alladhina amanu wa 'amilus solihati wa tawasaw bil haqq wa tawasaw bis sabr.
With that,
we thank you.